Hi guys, this is Danielle Martin. I'm the knowledge manager at the Intel Computer Clubhouse Network. I am on here with Julie Raymold from SRI International and Steve Nixon, who's a teacher in residence here at the Museum of Science Boston for the summer. And our goal today is to walk through some
Hi
of
guys, this is Danielle Martin. I'm the knowledge manager at the Intel Computer Clubhouse Network. I am on here with Julie Raymold from SRI International.
I had the live broadcast on in the background. I apologize. So we know it's live now, so people are seeing it. So bear with us as we figure out the Google Hangout environment. We're going to do a recording of this so folks that are not on can at least get a walkthrough of the tools that we're trying to do for Start Making. So I am going to hand it over to Julie Raymold. So Julie.
Hi, so what I wanted to do today is walk through the instructions, the evaluation instructions that Danielle would have shared with all Start Making participants for this year in an email that you have dated July 5th. And in that email you also have a link to a village page that contains a lot of the same information, and some of the documents for download are available there as well. So starting with that document, which I recommend just opening now and following along with, we give an overview of what the three tools are that we're using for data collection this year in the Start Making evaluation. The first is a youth survey that's for youth participants in the Start Making programming. The second is a facilitator progress report, which is basically a form that each clubhouse should be filling out as they work through the Start Making programming. And the third is some guidelines for portfolio data collection that we'll talk about also today. So just jumping ahead, in these instructions we have instructions and links for each of the two tools that are online. So you have links to your Start Making Youth Survey and links to your Facilitator Progress Report right here. We also have appendices with things like parent consent forms for youth surveys and other information that will go through what's available in this document so that you know what you can find. Let's start with the youth surveys. The youth surveys, to carry them out in your clubhouse, there's basically two steps involved. One is once you've identified who's going to be participating in your Start Making programming, you need to obtain a consent form from each of the parents or guardians of the youth who are participating. The consent forms are very important. If we get surveys from youth whose parents haven't consented, we won't be able to use them in our analysis. And in fact, they shouldn't really be collected from people whose parents haven't already consented. So that first step is very important, and we have as one of the appendices here to the document that Danielle sent out just a paper version of those consent forms in Spanish and English, and you can just print up copies and make sure they go home with the youth on the first day of programming. Get them home as soon as possible so that you get back as many as you can. Once you have the signed consent forms from parents, you can return them to Danielle by mail, and there's a mailing address right here in the instructions, or you can scan them and send them to her by email. So once you have obtained consent forms from participants, you're going to want to wait until the participants have already completed most of the Start Making program, and before their show and share activity, the session where you have them do the show and share, is the time that we want you to administer the surveys. So as late as you can in the programming without waiting until they've already done the show and share is the time to give the youth the links to their surveys and to have them complete the surveys online. Each clubhouse has its own survey link, and that's how we know where the survey is coming from. And right now the screen is showing the Clubhouse Village page that has each of the survey links displayed in a table. We also have them in Appendix B of the document that has the evaluation instructions. And you can see that there's 2 columns because we have a version that's in English and a version in Spanish for each clubhouse. So make sure you choose the version that your youth are going to want to use. In some cases, you may want to bookmark both on the computers in your clubhouse. Bookmark these links on the computers so that the youth know where to go when they're completing the surveys, and then just have them access the surveys online. The first item in the survey asks them if they consent to participate, and that's something that they get to choose. If they decide they don't want to participate, that's the only item they fill out, and then from there on, the rest of the items, we just ask that you be available to help if they need help completing the survey, but that they have some privacy in completing it as well. Any questions about the surveys before I move on to the progress report? Oh, Danielle is scrolling through right now to show the kinds of questions that are on the surveys. We have some demographic questions, and feel free to just explore it in advance without entering any data. We asked about what they had done before Start Making, what they've done for the first time in Start Making programming, and their level of confidence with different kinds of making dimensions of making. So you can go to your Clubhouse link, say yes to the consent form, and browse through and look at the questions if you're interested. So the next tool is the Facilitator Progress Report. Oh, Danielle is showing the Village version of the Clubhouse instructions. So the next tool that she's taking us to is the Facilitator Progress Report. This is a separate form for each clubhouse to fill out that's about the programming at the clubhouse, and it asks questions like what was the date of a particular session, how many people attended, and many of the questions are easier to answer if you answer them soon after you've offered the programming. So if you look at the screenshot, each section of the form has advice about when is the ideal time to complete it. So the clubhouse information, we're saying it's to be completed anytime. And this is just background information about your clubhouse. We've completed a lot of this already based on our records, and you can just correct us if we got any of it wrong. The Start Making at your clubhouse section is something that would ideally be completed when you've done most of your sessions already, and you can tell us about the overall number of people who attended and a little bit about the demographics of your program. And then if we go to the next section of the form, that's a piece that we really would like each clubhouse to contribute to as they do the work. So the Start Making sessions, we want to know what dates you offered each of the sessions and how many people showed up for each of them. And there are a few optional items in this part of the form. Danielle, if you click on Add Session, we can show people the optional items. So for each session, we do need to know when you offered it, and we want to know how many people attended, and how much time you spent. But we have some open-ended questions like describe how the session went and if there were any surprises that you can answer if you choose to. Did you encounter any challenges in carrying out the sessions, and is there anything else you would like to mention about the session? Those are the 3 optional items. So we do need to hear the basics about each session, and you can choose about the rest of the data. Now, each time you come and visit your record here in the Clubhouse Progress Report, make sure to press that Save button at the top before you close the window so that we don't lose any of your information. Now, the next section is participant projects. We'd like at least information about at least 3 participant projects. And Danielle, if you click on Add a Project, we can show what is included in each one. It's a project title, the first and last name of the youth creator, and the first and last name of the facilitator who's filling out the form, links to any photos that you've posted on the Clubhouse Village, and details about the project, such as the materials used or the techniques. This would be a great place to find out about how the project builds on something that the participant did in a previous session or any other details that you want to share with us. And again, always click Save before exiting any form. The success stories are the next section. And the success stories, again, we want at least 3 of them, but more would be great if you have more to offer. I don't know why that's not letting you in. The success stories ask questions about... No, I'm wishing that I was... Maybe we can go back to the summary page of the success stories to show what's involved in it. So the success stories tell us about how we connect what the youth have done in Start Making with the outcomes that Start Making is trying to achieve. So we sort of list the outcomes, and you describe a story of someone's experience in Start Making programming and how you connect it with the outcomes of Start Making. And maybe what we'll do is try to get a screenshot of that added to the end of this somehow. And the last major piece here is that we give you a form that you can use to track attendance. And this is optional. You can also track attendance on paper, and we've given you sort of a Word document template for that in the documents that Danielle emailed out. And you can also track attendance any way you like locally, as long as you know how many people attended each session and how many sessions were attended by each of the participants. We don't need the attendance roster in any particular format. So here's the Word version that we've shared with you. If you choose to use the online version, you can just click on each of these little boxes that appears under the session names to identify which youth were in each day of programming, and you write the youth name in the first 2 columns. So because you're going to be filling this out over the course of many sessions, we have you saving after each time you visit, but we won't know that you have completed the entire form and that you're not planning on adding more unless you let us know. So we have a checkbox at the end for you to indicate that you have completed the entire form and you're not planning on adding any more information. And that's just helpful for us to know what the status of the data collection is. So we ask that you click that box at the very end. Any questions about this form, the online form here? No? Okay. And then the third data collection tool we're developing is portfolio data collection tools. And at this point, what we have is several protocols that come with series of prompts and different ways of administering those prompts. For example, having youth interview one another or having youth keep photo journals. And we'd like the clubhouses that are interested in participating in the portfolio data collection to work with us on sort of choosing what the best method is for their setting this year, rather than narrowing that down to a single option. So for those who can do portfolio data collection, which we highly encourage, I would love to have a conversation about what the best approach is on a clubhouse by clubhouse basis. So that's a good reason to reach out and talk to me. My contact information is at the top of this document that Danielle has shared, and I think it's also in the Clubhouse Village page that she's showing right now. Danielle, can we scroll down to find where my contact information is, just to point that out?
Sure.
Thank you.
Or it's on the facilitator page. Yeah. Or it's at the bottom of the email we sent.
Definitely saw my name, yeah.
It's in there.
It's in there? Okay. I know that it's in the Word document because I'm looking at that right now. So,
okay.
if folks are looking for how to reach out and get a hold of me, I'm Julie Raymold at SRI, and you can find my contact information in the Word document that Danielle shared right there. Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I'm going to turn off my screen share just for a second, just to add a couple more things about next steps. Next steps for you guys, we are aware that these are coming a little later than we promised. Know that we put a lot of thought into that, and we're going to be working with your geos to think about if you did run the programs in June or July, we're going to figure out the next steps with that. I did send out the email on a holiday in the U.S., so we're aware that this was not a lot of time before this hangout. So we're going to post this live, and if people want to have another live conversation, we'll schedule that next week. Please just email me or contact your geo liaison. And the big thing I need to know from folks is when you're actually starting. Everybody filled out that planning survey, and that's what we used. What we have is the start date calendar right now, but I need to really know that from folks. So I'm going to, if I don't hear from you soon by email, I'm going to just be working with your geographic liaison to get that information. I thank Julie Raymold quite a bit for all these tools, and know that she's here. If you have any questions about how the tool works, or if it, we had some links in there we even saw that we need to go figure out. But really, we really appreciate that you guys are rolling with us with the punches with this, and that we really want to hear about if these tools are good for you, and are not only documenting the process so we know this for the grant, but also are a good tool. I think the progress report is designed to be a way for you to reflect during the process. So we want to hear how useful that is to you. So please let us know that information. So I thank everybody for their time, including Steve. You'll be meeting Steve if you guys come out to Teen Summit. He'll be working with us on some of the evaluation parts and testing some portfolio tools at Teen Summit. So hopefully you get to meet him in Boston in a few short weeks. And thank you, everybody.
One quick thing I forgot to mention is, sorry, before we stop the recording, is that if anybody takes a look at the progress report tool and thinks that they have a lot to say and not a lot of time to write it down, I'd be happy to talk to folks on the phone, take notes, and sort of upload what I learn into your forms for you to save time. So feel free to contact me about setting up a call instead of some of those longer items.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.